itself. Alright. So first things first, you already know me, so let's talk about what next for the next journey age section together. We may take a look, I think, at this one. This is the revised schedule. Even though in some version of the schedule that is not up to date. Let's look at this together. We have altogether 8 without final exam. And as you can see that I think I will go with the same format like the first half, if it's okay with you. Or unless you have other suggestions that we would like me to add or change something, more than happy to do so. But what I have on my mind, that's we will start off with introduction, managing HR and training HR. And for next week, we're gonna cover about organizational culture and also organizing work and HR planning. We're gonna have actually a couple things to do next time. One that you already see that we're gonna have our first case. Since we don't have a lot of time, therefore sorry that we have to start just like last time that the first group have to begin working on new case next week. All right, we talk about case later. But other than that, next week, what we plan to do is that we have this assigned reading. This one, and this is just a very new one. It just came out in January, February 2019. This article is about innovative organizational culture, but it look at organizational culture in a way that is not its hard truth. So something interesting about when we talk about innovative organizational culture goals, any that side that we achievement. So this one is assigned reading, meaning that you have to issue to with this assigned reading for identity class next Wednesday. We will discuss about this article and talk about organizational culture by using this article. All right. This is one first thing that I would like to make sure that you will not forget. That's for next time. And we continue with Facebook, yes. Selection, merit, from our management, asana. But something a little bit changed. That's asana is performance management. It's not compensation. Therefore, as you can see, that's duplication of case 4. Case 4 is going to be on April 10th. Alright? It's not April 24th. Because on April 24th, we're going to have a guest lecturer. For the first half, we do simulation, Mount Everest simulation. But for the second half, we will have a guest lecturer that will talk about how organization can form the compensation. For example, like salary survey and also salary structure. That's gonna be on April 24th. And then we're gonna have a group and paper presentation on May 1, Labor Day. And we have another exam on May 8th. Is it okay with you guys? I don't know, because if you would like to change something, let me know. For example, the date of your exam or other things, be flexible. But this is just what I have, So that's meaning that we need 5 groups. I don't know that if you want to go with the sector, just like this first half, or you want to reshuffle and form people. That's really up to you. And in case that you would like to use the same group, maybe it's up to you again. Think about member of the group. It's gonna be the same member 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would you like to go by 1, 5, from 5 to be 1, 4 to 2, something like that? Or you want, to draw a number again? That's totally up to you. So you can talk about that really quick. but you have to be hurry because the first test is next week. Alright, so that's something that you probably have to make decision today or tomorrow. You have class tomorrow, maybe. So maybe today is the best that you have to make decisions since you know you are together. Right, so that's our plan. And talking about case gonna be in your textbook. All 5 cases in your textbook, and you know, for example, for the first case, Mayo Clinic is it's about organizing work and HR planning. Therefore, that's gonna be in chapters. I will remember maybe 7, 4, 5 that deal with analyzing work and HR planning. That's our first book is going to be in recruitment chapter, Marriott selection in your textbook. Not very much different from the first half, but today we'll do something that actually I need to ask for your help. We will stay in this classroom until probably before 8, meaning that we will take a break a little late. And after break, I would like to ask you to meet again in the computer lab, which is going to be in Building 9. Building 9 is the one that next to Mahit Building. If you familiar with campus, Mahit Building is the building that have cafeteria, supposed to be the cafeteria downstairs. And Building 9 is next to that building. It's not hard to find. You can ask people and go to the third floor. I said that I would like to ask you help because I need to conduct my experiments. I'm doing my research. I wish I can tell you everything about my research, but since you're going to be my participant in my research, therefore I should not tell you everything about my research, because if you know everything, the way that you answer probably have some bias from what you guess about my research. So what I need you to do is that you have to go there because you have to log in, take a look at the company website and answer question in my questionnaire. It should take about less than 20 minutes. I don't know. It depends on you how much time that you need to navigate website. And after that, I will continue with the rest of our lecture. Alright, so this is our plan. So just I need to tell you in advance because to let you know that we're gonna take a break. It's quite late, maybe before 8. Because we want to stop everything here and then move there. We will not come back. This is our plan because we serve computer lab from 8 to 9. Alright, so that's today. Any question before we continue? Continue on get started for the second half. Okay, so no question. On any request that I should do something different from the first half? Request, suggestion? If you don't want to tell me now, you probably can email me out later or some other way that you want to use. Alright, so we continue as usual. We need I need my assistant who would like to volunteer to be my assistant of the night. Anybody would like to be? Okay, thank you very much. Is it gonna be all of you? Is it gonna be? Yeah, sure. Okay, so okay, so that's since the criteria for this course is going to be pretty much the same, that we have target group performance and we have individual performance. And in an individual performance, it includes participation. Okay, so that human resource management. Before I continue, let me show you how it fits together the first half and the second half to make sure that you understand what we are trying to do and objective of the course. As you can see that in the first half, we try to talk about process of business. It doesn't matter what functions you are in. You can be in like finance, production, marketing, but as long as you work as one of organizational member, or especially as a manager, you need that management process, which we talk about leadership. We talk about how to manage teams, teamwork, team dynamics. We talk about motivation, decision making. Even though we cannot cover all aspects, or all aspects of business process, but that is I try to according the course description. So that for the first half. Mainly, this is how we can achieve. This is what we would like to achieve. As business person, work when we work in business organization, business result. So even okay, we probably come up with strategy, which is later you have a course in business strategy. But to turn business strategy to be an action, you need to understand all the jigsaw that you have to put together. Therefore, in the second half, talking about people, how we different in terms of personality, and that when we work with people, as a team, you can take in that consideration that not everyone gonna be the same just like you, because we are different. And when we work as a team, what we have to be aware of, for example, like groupthink, social loafing, and so on. Or when we work, we have to make decisions, especially later, because being at the essence of leader to make decisions, you have to be able to make decisive decisions, and this is for that part. Anyway, but that part is not enough. Next, for MBA program, would like you to know about one of business function. So for the second half, we talk about one of the business function. Which is when you talk about business function, it can include marketing, finance, production, R&D, and yes, of course, HR. HR is one of business function, and of course, when it's in business function, if you are not in HR, maybe this course probably not something directly address what you actually looking for. One thing that I have to to tell you in advance. Nonetheless, since you are gonna be executive, since you are already an executive, it's essential for you to understand all business function. Therefore, even though if you are not in HR function, it's worthwhile for you to understand HR. But my approach is that I would not talk about HR just like I talk about HR with HR professionals. I would talk about HR for line manager. If you are line manager, what you need to know about HR and maybe a little bit about HR technique. That is our objective. All right. But since we don't have a lot of time, we have just like 8 hours together. Therefore, maybe I cannot cover about everything about HR. So I pick main HR function that we're gonna elaborate later. That is about this course. This course is more about function, HR function in the business. And to me, I believe that this part is very important, organizational culture. Therefore, I will include this in your next lecture. Actually, when we talk about organizational culture, mostly come from top management. But to embed organizational culture most of the time, it requires HR function, HR activity. Therefore, I include this part in HR part. Alright? And this is our plan for the rest of the course, the second half. So if you have any suggestion or anything that you want me to cover beside this, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do so. Okay, so by nature, when we talk about HR, it's more technique. It's gonna be a little bit different from the first half. That's more about the concept, about theories. But HR is gonna be like application. For example, when we talk about motivation, that's motivation theory, it's gonna be applied in HR, like equity theory, if you recall, for the first half. We will apply equity theory in compensation management. Make sure that we reward employee fairly. For example, this is the reason we have to conduct salary survey. when it's getting close to the end of the year, big organization when they have resource, they will participate in Salary survey to make sure that they have information about how much other company pay. Because if we pay less than other company, it's create inequity feeling, right? And when people feel it's not fair, they will leave organization. And this is part that this is linkage between the first half and the second half. And in terms of fairness in the organization, in compensation we need to do job evaluation, meaning that we evaluate value of the job. So the job that create high value or have more value, we have to pay that job more. And it's talking about high values, it can include higher qualification or responsibility, which is in compensation. And when in that equity fairness can apply so in performance management about evaluation, something like that, or goal setting daily as a KPI. Some organization probably refer as KPI, or some organization refer as key result area. That connection between the first and the second half. Okay, so there's some connection, but it does totally 100%, but something that to show to see that you understand this and it can apply in some HR function. All right, so that's what you're gonna see. Next, before I go on in detail with HR function, let me try to sell my idea. Most of the time when we begin with HR, HRM, we just try to get awareness that HRM is very important, this is essential. The reason that we have to do, we try to do is because most of the time, management just view HR just like supporting staff, because HR not actually create money, right? It's different from marketing or other function that see quite obvious how you deliver to the organization. For example, if you just look at the opening case in your textbook, it talk about SME. That major concern when you start business is what will be the product that you're gonna sell? Can you sell that product? In the other word, especially SME, HR is not the function that the owner or manager pay attention, because it's not creating any. They view that HR doesn't create any values. But in the end of the day, if you want to expand business, you need good HR. You need good HR system. So therefore, first let me sell you HR. Why HR? Why people believe that HR chief executive in HR should be CEO now today. Because for example, just like Google, we all agree that Google succeed. They start from search engine, but now they expand in different areas. In fact, it's not Google when we talk about the whole company is Alphabet. That Larry Page, they have a vision that it's not about just data, but they do something. For example, driverless car, have smart home, so they create other sub company. But okay, since we know very well about Google, so let's stick with Google. And this is what Google done for the legal finding. We believe that our approach to hiring has significantly contributed to our success to date, meaning that success of Google comes from people in the organization. It's not just come from just leader or not just come from good business strategy. Because even though you have good business strategy, but if you don't have good people, it will not do you anything good. And there is a goal something like, if we do not succeed in attracting excellent personnel or retraining or motivating existing personnel, we may be unable to grow effectively. Therefore, Google have been interested in that HR system. Oh, by the way, I like it. Learn fast, fail fast approach. Meaning that, to learn, it's okay to fail. And if you recall when I shared the example of Area 120 of Google, they sponsor the Googler to who have idea and incubate that idea to be real business. And it doesn't matter that the business succeeds or not, but they believe that when people have a chance to do something, they learn from that business idea. even though that business failed, that can continue with that experience and the idea to make that current job to be better. So yeah, they encourage people to try something, to learn something. Fail is very okay, it's exceptional, as long as it has improvement. And that's the big picture of Google. But let's look at HR. How Google they come up with HR system that's enhanced what we call that to create competitive advantage to that people are Google learn. For starter, they have like what we call a Googleplex, which is that office, really cozy, nice office. Have like NapPod, you heard about NapPod because lots of people believe that napping is good, during the day. Or I say napping, not sleeping, it's different, right? When we're talking napping, it's less than 20 minutes. But it's longer than 20 minutes, it's gonna disturb your sleep at night. It's not a good idea to sleep, to take a nap longer than 20 minutes. But it's very good to take a nap during the day. So they have, place for people to take a nap. They have like a spa for, people if, people feel so stressed at work. They have like car wash, have laundry, facilitate that Google. So in a way that maybe they if they provide something like just like paradise to Googler, it can lead as employee to stay long in the organization. And when it's when they stay long, so most of the time they get some work done. So that is HR that have something to do with how they can attract the people, best people, and keep that people in the organization. Originally, we just talk about like the cafeteria that they have like very nice food for that people. That's in Google. And a little bit more about this is the way that they recruit. Okay, since they design innovation, it's not just about they come up with innovative product or innovative services, but the way that they manage, especially in HR, I apply that. This is the way that they recruit that people in Google. Well, if you see this billboard, okay, so this, what do you think? If it means nothing to you, it means that you are not that target. Because when they approach that HR, it's just like they do marketing. And in fact, from what I see, HR is pretty much close to marketing. Because when you do marketing, first thing that you have to do is that you have to think about who's going to be your target, right? Because you cannot make everyone happy. So when you market yourself or market even market your product, you have to make sure that who you want to sell your product to. Just like Google, that they have their target. For that, it doesn't matter about working experience. They don't care about working experience, but they want very, very smart people. They believe that if they can get smart people in the organization, just the time is not long, those smart people can contribute a lot to the organization. And in fact, Gmail that we are familiar with, that came from the employees who, actually didn't have a lot of experiences. But he's very, very good. I mean, very, very smart. And how they can tell if that person is smart or not? Since Google deal with programming, therefore they want someone who is good at very math solving skill. So if you look at this, actually this is math. First 10 digit found in consecutive digit of ease. So if it means nothing to you, it means that you're not the person that Google looking for, because they're looking for someone that have sophisticated mathematics skill to be able to solve this question. And if you're curious, this is the answer. 7, 4, 2, 7, 4, 6, 6 something. And if you can solve this math problem and get to this answer, which is quite long number, you can use .com, because this is .com, and there you go. You can fill out application form. So this is the way that you can apply for a job in Google. So and this is the HR function. when they recruit. And as you can see that they have like brain teaser. Not only brain teaser on Billboard, but they also have brain teaser interview. Maybe some of you watch a movie Internship. Did you anybody watch a movie Internship talking about two like middle-aged guys, and they are losing jobs because their skill out of date, because they salespersons and the product that they sell were watches, which is nowadays nobody use watch. We have like iPhone. We just look at time from our telephone. Therefore they try to find new jobs, and they saw ads that Google looking for internship interns. But I'm talking about that movie because in that movie, when the two guys try to apply for internship in Google, they have to do like job interview, and the question that were asked are the real question that were used in Google. Something like if you're watching just like penny coin, small, and then put in the blender, and you have 2 minutes. What you're gonna do before the blender go off? Meaning that if someone plays the button on, blender gonna spin, and if you were in that blender, what you gonna do to survive? That's that is example of brain teaser questions that Google use in job interview. Or maybe they ask a question something like, how many ping pong ball gonna be fit in one airplane? Something like that. So this is called brain teaser questions that work with like brain teaser things that Google use, when they select people working for Google. Unfortunately, Google is not using that brain teaser interview anymore. I will tell you what type of interview that they use. But the reason that they stopped using that type of question is because after a while they got information and they do data analytics, which is I will talk about that in details. They try to find correlation between people who attend that interview, the score that people got with performance evaluation. After that get in Google and they got their work and have that evaluation. And it turned out that no correlation at all whatsoever between that job interview score and performance. Therefore, no more. So no more that type of question. So this is the way that Google approach that HR. It's not just about go with this way, it looks fancy, probably and we stick with that. It's not. They try to check effectiveness of that HR program and try to utilize that. Okay, so and this is maybe since they did a good job in HR, I'll actually try to show that they did a good job. This is maybe one of the reasons why a lot of organizations, especially in Thailand, claim that we are not using KPI, but we use key result area, and key result area actually came from Google. But Google has been using that for quite a long time, but for some reason I don't know why it's got very popular in Thailand recently. Or they have this policy that they allow employees to do something outside work, 20% of the work, 10% of the work. That's Google. Or maybe let's talk about Starbucks. We know that Starbucks, they position themselves that they want to be third place. Third place means that they don't actually sell coffee, but they sell like atmosphere service. When people go for walk, they say maybe you came first for coffee, but people came back for our people. So it's from that people. So my question is, what do you think that make people, well not people, but us, as customer, go back to that people? What make we, well actually you will sell good service. But my question is how Starbucks, or what makes Starbucks can provide excellent service? Good service at least. Well, we're not excellent, but compared to other coffee stores, especially in Thailand, can consider to be quite good. Yeah?
Strong organization culture that focus on the services and constant training development.
Okay.
Consistently provided in the place.
Very good. Okay, you maybe answer on the answer. First, the organizational culture, that they create organizational culture. For example, from what I have been told that when someone does something good, they have like card saying something, compliment from that person and put that card in the apron, or maybe they have like pin something like to show that person do something good, that organizational culture, and of course organizational culture is part of it. Okay, and we talk about training, right? They're serious about their training. For example, they have training methodology that called latte, that to teach their barista to deal with difficult customer. You understand what I mean, right? Difficult customer, someone that who can be very difficult to deal with. But they have like methodology that called latte, which is L stand for listen. When when you have to deal with difficult persons, you should not try to explain, but you have to listen. Because if you try to explain with people who try to ask for something, it's going to be argument. So you don't want that to happen. When people say something, okay, listen. And after that, A, L, listen, and A is acknowledge, and so. So that's they train employees, not employee, well, actually, because they call everyone partner. And the reason they call everyone partner, not because not just lip service that make people feel good that I own the company, but actually Starbucks also provide very good compensation. For example, in Thailand, from what I know, they pay above average of the industry. When you look at this type of industry, they pay higher than other restaurants in Thailand, above average. And in the United States, they have stock options for employees, including for part-time employees, not employee partner. Therefore, well, it's not just call everyone just like honey, darling, and you don't actually mean that you love that person. But they call a partner because they actually give stocks option for their barista. And again, compensation also part of HR. All right. And not only that, in terms of hiring, they also try to select someone that will have service mind in the organization, and so, and not and we don't have to talk about performance evaluation. I'm sure that they put that into consideration. From what I try to say, that to get one thing, for example, excellent service, that all came down to HR function. It's not just you tell people that provide good service. Chances are, if you don't monitor them all the time, they will not. But you have to come up with a system to make sure that they want to provide excellent service. And HR system can be very powerful or mechanism to drive what we looking for. Or even Google, strategy Google probably not on service, but I think it's going to be innovation. Therefore, for HR, they has come up with ways that how they can get people who can think outside the box, who have high creativity, and so on. That's that is important of to show importance of HR that can help organization to drive their performance. And what about this Netflix? Let me show you experience or a story about Netflix. By now, I'm sure that you are familiar with Netflix. Maybe some of you are Netflix customer. Are you? Maybe. Yeah. So, well, talking about Netflix. Anybody watch Captain Marvel? The movie Captain Marvel. You have a chance to watch that movie. If not, maybe is this a good time after you got final exam done? Get something like charge energy before a lot of things coming up next. So recommend you to watch that movie. Well, it's not so good. Oh, it's good. It depends on who you watch the movie with. But what I'm trying to say that one of the scenes in the movie that Captain Marvel for accidentally go to like C-53, which is Mid-Earth. And from that scene, it's she like pop in Blockbuster, which is when you see like Blockbuster and also Radio Chat. So as a movie watcher, we know that it means that it's not 2000 something, because if it's 2000 something, no Blockbuster, right? It has to be 19 something. because it's have Blockbuster and Radio Shack, because all that business gone already now today in 2000 something. So that's she's went back in 19 something. That's still have Blockbuster in that movie. So actually that's a lot of things in that movie that I find very hilarious and funny. Anyway, so Blockbuster gone. The reason is because they cannot change. They have okay, because actually they did very very well. But the thing is, when technology change, environment change, they cannot change. Our country, Netflix can change. Netflix, start that business the time that still have Blockbuster. In fact, the story about Netflix founders is because he was mad about Blockbuster. He was Blockbuster customer, and he returned tape quite a little bit late, and he had to pay fine. And then he's not. I'm not very happy. I'm your good customer, but how come I'm just a little bit late? I have to pay that fine. Therefore, from that anger, it made me to it helped him to come up with new business idea. At the time that is by mail order, that okay, people can mail order, and then when finish watching movie can send it back anytime that you want to, something like that. But as you can see now today, Netflix is not about mailing order, but streaming, and this is because they change according to technology, and they go through that changes. For example, from that tape to DVD, and at one point of that business, they have to lay off that people. But first, maybe because of luck, the business got picked up very quickly. So after laying off, they have a lot of work. So after laying off, when they have a lot of work, they have to hire more people. So this is happened when HR HR went to one of engineer in Netflix and say, I don't remember exactly the name of that person, but let's say that his name is John. Something like, John, I know that you're very, very, very busy because we have a lot of business right now. So I'm in the process hiring more people to help you, maybe a couple more to help you. But come to surprise to HR, John said, okay, but don't bother. Actually, I'm enjoy working just a little bit myself. And HR surprised that, really? I thought that you need people to help you. And then John said, oh, no, because when I have people working with me, those people are not so good. So I have to, most of the time, help them with their work, have to collect their work. I found that it's easier for me just, working alone and just, do my own work. And this has become of the HR policy or principle in Netflix that when they hire people, they just would like to hire just grade A employee. Okay, just grade A. B plus, no, just grade A. Which just means that, oh, John is grade A employee. Yeah, and if he have to work alongside with grade B or B plus, he's not happy because that work under his, lower than his standard. Okay. But the thing is, how we can get grade A pay? We would like the best. We would like someone who would A. But how we can get people who very, very good working for us? How? Okay. Okay, exactly. Good compensation. So they pay very well. So in Netflix, they encourage their employees to talk with job hunter. For some organization, they try, to avoid that because job hunter can steal their employees. But in Netflix, they encourage their employee to talk with, headhunter and get the number, and they try to be with that number because to make sure that they pay very well. So that's one thing. That's Netflix, try to attract and retain very good people. And not only that, I remember that one of my friends on my Facebook shared something about Netflix is very generous because Netflix is one of organization that openly say that they have unlimited holidays, meaning that their employees can take holidays as many as they want. Okay, which is quite different. from lots of organizations. In United States, and this, I find it quite interesting that in Thailand, law requires that we have like 13 holidays, right? Including Labor Day. So if you are owner business, in the beginning of the day, you have to like make decision how many days that you allow your employee to be off. But have to at least 13 days. You can go above than that because according to Thai HR law, they want to protect laborers. As long as it benefits labor, that's fine. But at least have to be 13 days, including Labor Days. Have to be one of 13 days have to be Labor Day. But in the United States, no requirement at all. Meaning that it's legal if organization don't even have a holiday. That is quite interesting about the United States, and this is in a movie. If you see the movie Where to Invade, that's in that movie they teach American company that compared to other company, for example like French or Italian. For example, like Italian they have a lot of holidays for the employees. Even the employees get married, they also allow employees to have honeymoon holidays if you get married. And in Italy they also have like 13 salary, meaning that not only paycheck for December, but employee get extra a month at the end of the year because you have to spend more. That is according to that movie. So people in Italy seem very happy because of that policy. Anyway, next when Netflix realized that according to law, organization doesn't have to provide any holidays or vacation. But Netflix came with a policy that employees can take unlimited holidays. Okay? But they just asked something from their boss that they asked the boss that please take some holiday, because if manager or boss don't take holidays, somebody may hesitate to do so. If you see what I mean. Okay. So my next question is, really, that organization can implement that policy, have unlimited holidays? How come they can implement that policy? The reason that they can implement that policy is because one requirement, not only that they require for a payer, but they also looking for another qualification. Before I tell you what qualification, I would like you to guess. Besides grade A payer, what they are looking for, people who work for Netflix, and what they call this is how they reinvent that HR. Besides grade A employees, what qualification? Yes. Not really. You mean people who looking for work-life balance?
Yeah, you have to look good at your working, and you have to manage your schedule.
It's not, later we talk about job specification. It's not, most of the time work-life balance is not qualification that we're looking for in a person. It can be organization policy to have work-life balance. But we don't really care much about if you looking for work-life balance in your life, as long as you can manage your life. And it probably doesn't matter much to organization if you want balance in your life or not. And sometimes it can be negative. So as an organization just like Netflix, what they're looking for. So my hint is that so they can use that policy, yeah. Quite close. So discipline, quite close. But what they put, they put it as an adult life, and self-discipline, which is quite close. Really good guess actually. But what they call is an adult life. It's not maturity. Maturity is one thing, but an adult life is like, you know what you have to do. You have your responsibility. For example, if you're not an adult like, early in the morning probably I don't want to go to work because I just feel so tired. Therefore I call and I say I'm gonna be off today. That is not an adult like. But if an adult, like even though you don't want to, but you know that other people rely on you, you have to be responsible for what you have to do. So you go to work anyway. And you know, since if if employees have quality and adult like, it doesn't matter about number of holidays, because you know how many days that you should be off. It's, because you know that if you have to be a day off, because you have to take that day off. You will not spoil or abuse the system, because you are an adult, real adult. You're not a child that just go with the easy way. You can discipline yourself. When you work, you go to work, you put hard work as much as you can. If you cannot do it, means that you really cannot. But it's not just because you don't try enough, because you act about like. And this is the reason why, even though Netflix pay very well, but Netflix doesn't have bonus. Because bonus is just to motivate you. Work harder, you get bonus. Just like, you have like, go to school and then you're gonna have ice cream after school. No, that is not. Because, since you're an adult, like, you work as hard as you can, you try as best as you can. So whatever it turns out, okay, fine. So no need to have bonus, but they have very good compensation. And they also have like stock option. But it's also different from other organizations. That stock option for organization, they have vesting period. Meaning that when employees got that stock option, they cannot sell. They have to be with the organization maybe for a year, couple of years, maybe to make sure that work very hard to raise up the stock price. But in Netflix, they call no golden handcuff. If you got stock option, you can, and if you want to sell it right away, go ahead, do it right away, because it's your right. So that's how this is talking about Netflix HR system, which is quite unique. And they also think about, don't bother about performance evaluation, because most of the time organizations use performance evaluation just to be one part of something that you use with the law. If you want to fire someone, if you want to get in trouble, you probably have like twice, 2 times of that evaluation, and then you can provide that evidence and say, okay, this is good reason that why I have to fire that person. But in Netflix, don't bother. If somebody may find that, if supervisor found that subordinate is not good enough, just let go right away with good similar package. So no need to go through that, like, say, okay, you are not good. Okay, let's improve next time, talk about it, in the next cycle. And manager know inside that I'm gonna get rid of that person anyway because he's not good enough. So no need to lie to each other with that. Just, okay, if you're not good, okay, goodbye, thank you, this is your package. So it's like, okay, it's quite, we can call it tough love. Since they want, great employees, therefore the way that they evaluate employees can be very, very difficult too. Anyway, so, and this is about, Netflix. And as you can see that from their performance, not only that, they have a good performance in terms of number of subscribers, but they also do a good job in terms of, when they produce their own movies, that turned out to be very popular too, and got like, I think, Emmy Award or something. The Orange is the New Black, or even the new one, Kingdom, I think it's also, produced by Netflix. So that, this is mechanism that drives results, performance. Trust people, not policy. But to trust people, you have to get people that you can trust. Reward calendar, throw away the stand-up table. To be just like, what people do in HR, because we are real that. This is what they do. And of course, each person have different way that they manage organization. We talk about that later in details, and I ask you to share the experience that you got in your organization later. Okay, and again, so strategy is 5% thinking, 95% execution. And yes, from that execution, 95% is people related. And this is why HR is essential in business. Something that you should not overlook. Alright. Even though we call employees as resources. In the past, we call employees as personnel. But since we want to upgrade people in the organization, so we change personnel to human resources. But for some reason, I still don't like the term human resources. I cannot explain why not. I don't like that term. Until I sit in one seminar. Keynote speaker was Peter Drucker. Are you familiar with that Peter Drucker? His big name in organizational learning. I sat in that seminar and actually, in the seminar, I find it's not really, not very much interesting. But the part that I found very interesting is questions from audience. Actually, it's big of audience at 1,000, even maybe 2,000, because when you got Peter Drucker, he charged a lot, so therefore try to get the many audience to justify the cost that have to pay Peter Drucker. Not Peter Drucker, Peter Senge. Anyway, so Peter Senge mentioned something like he doesn't like when we refer to human organization as resource. The reason is because when we're talking about resource, it's something like standing by to be wasted. Which is okay, that's true. Just like we have some resource, and it's not really just like resource, just standing there and waiting for it to waiting to be used. But maybe we have not better than this term, so we still have used human resource. But maybe other people maybe refer to human resource like human capital, something the same. Or some organizations refer to human resource as talent. But talent can misleading, right? Because when you talk about talent, it's gifted, but it's not about gifted per se. It's about very good person. And when I say about good, it means high competent. It's not about you good person because you know other people, but just because you have high competent. So human capitals organizations it become capital because because of training and skill, experience, judgment, intelligence, or relationship with others. Insight, information, knowledge that help organization, and this is, as you can see, that's always help to drive quality, profitability, or even customer satisfaction. If, for example, just like Starbucks, to get excellent or high service, drive customer satisfaction is come from the barista, the partner that got training, have experience, judgment, dealing with customer, and so on. And also motivation and effort. Put together, this is what we can, how we look at human resource management. All right. Now let's look at changes nowadays that we have to handle. Life is not simple and easy. If it 10 years ago, life is easy, plain and simple, but today, just like recently, PepsiCo, not only PepsiCo changed their CEO, but they also changed their strategy, or actually it's just news. If you are interested, you can probably just Google PepsiCo laying off a lot of things talking about that. Because they, since when they changed the leader, they come up with a new strategy, laying off corporate employees. As a company coming to billions of dollars in stolen pay, restructuring, relentlessly automating, which is have or machine, use more machine in organization, AI in organization, technology in organization. And so it's become like typical for a business to lay off employees. Because organizations would like to be lean. The reason that they would like to be lean is because they want to contain their cost. And this is something directly involve HR. because when you have to let go employees, it's going through HR function. Who that you're gonna let go, and how you can let go, how much student package that we have to pay. That's not something that changed that we have to handle with. We try to be comfortable, but that no security, impossible to ask for something that's secure from the organization. So therefore, concept of job security or lifetime employment is not here. The best that we can do for employees nowadays is employability, meaning that we enhance employee skill, and then if they have their skill up to date, even though they cannot be with our organization, they can be with other organizations. That's we have to do it. Also, this is also changing, of course, the way that the way that we type of worker. The one that like driver in for Uber, this is we call independent worker. In the past, we have like full time. We have when we hire a person work 9 to 5, maybe from Monday to Friday. That's it. But now, well, not really, because organization want to be lean organization with a lot more flexibility. So they go with like temporary employees. They go with temp. They go with freelance. And for example, like just like Uber, they don't even hire that driver. And for someone who drive for Uber, no need for Uber to pay like benefits, right? Because you are not our full-time employees. We consider you as independent worker, so you are on your own. And this is way of life nowadays that we have to deal with. We also have like co-working space for if employees do not want to work in organization. Work from home, telecommuting, that is changing workforce. Or not only over have that business model, but also task rabbit. In Thailand, maybe we have like sister, maybe right, that you can hire maid to help with the cleaning, or other services. That's you don't have to hire someone who will perform that service to you, but you just go to contractor that have that person that go work for you. This is also include nanny. I don't know in Thailand, like this type of service that nanny, you just on call and I want nanny and go take a look at your baby. I know. Probably not, because in Thailand we live in like extended family. We still have like grandparents to take care of the kids. Anyway, this is something that you're probably familiar with in your exam, right? Gen Y. That this is talking about workforce nowadays, that we have different generations working together, and the generation can be different. For example, like in your exam, you have to understand Gen Y to be able to pick way that you can address that needs by using motivational theory in that final exam. And so this is okay. So organization have to come up with program that be able to respond to different generation in the workplace. But anyway, just again, just like I told you that for me, I don't really believe in generation per se, but maybe just like age. If a generation, you're gonna stay that way no matter how old you are. But I believe that when you grow up, you probably change because you get older and you learn something. But anyway, that lead to changes in terms of this, in terms of people in the organization, demographic in the future. Increasing education levels. People, especially in Thailand, do you know that in Thailand we have higher education? We have higher number who have high education. Unfortunately, we have less skill. This is ironic in Thailand because people, we want to have like at least bachelor degree. So we have a lot of universities that offer bachelor degree, but one less job quality in Thailand. So end up with we have lower skill in our labor force, but higher education. half immigration, half people international worker work alongside with Thai, or vice versa, Thai go work in other different country, and this is typical nowadays. Oh, number of I would not say increase number of women because we already have a lot of numbers in the workplace anyway. But yeah, we have a high number of women. We have diverse workforce. And what I would like to point out now that I would like to call it fusion scheme. What does it mean by fusion scheme? Well, maybe something like Microsoft say that since we have AI working with us, working for us, they're looking for 3 skills. Do you have this skill? If you want to claim that you have fusion skill, digital skill, should not be a big problem for you to have these digital skills, because we know very well we can be like technology savvy. That's technological skill. Analytical skills, I find this can be very challenging. Maybe because in our educational system, maybe a lot of students, they just approach learning with just, okay, listen to lecture, and then that's it. No, actually, listen to lecture just like, just the least effective way to learn. But you have to be able to self-learning, ask the questions, have to be able to teach people. That's, and come up with, not just listen to something and you believe in everything. Question or maybe challenge status quo, that is analytical skill. And very important, continuous learning capability. Okay, so and this is something that I would like to encourage you to maybe ask yourself, do you have these skills? In fact, I just like in the beginning, in the beginning of the class, I asked students that, do you have any comments or suggestions that what I should change, or would like, or I should do something different that make it better? I asked other group of students, and one of the students said that, well, professor, when we do case, I prefer that you lecture, and then we answer the case. I said, okay, that can be good, but it's not what I'm looking for, because I don't want you just to go to the class and listen to my lecture and that's it, learn from that. If I do that, I consider that I'm quite failed, because for my part, I would like you to learn how to learn, because things change very fast. Something that we learn today probably is gonna be obsoleted maybe a year. Therefore, it's better that it can be just your starting point, and then you from that it probably give you an idea what you should go next, and keep learning. That's the skill that is essential for today. And talking about Gen Y in the workplace, relevant to HR, and this is talking about benefits in Facebook. Well, just like Google case, that they would like people who very very good with them, and most of the time those people quite young, 20 something. But when you're 20 something, you talk to the decision that should I quit working and have baby, because if I wait for past 30, it's gonna be hard to have a baby. So the organization experienced that they lost some employees because those employees would like to have baby before it's too late. And this is how the creative companies just like Facebook, they offer money for egg freezing for female employees. So don't worry, you can have baby anytime that you want. When you're ready, just now enjoy your work as much as you want to enjoy. So we get eggs from you, and then we pay every month or year by yearly for the egg bank to keep your eggs. It doesn't matter how many eggs that you got, as long as if you have that a lot of eggs, that's good for you. So we pay for you anyway. So that's for female employees. And organization also offer adoption, surrogacy, assistance for both male and female employees in case that you are gay and you want to have a surrogate mother, something like that. So it's so cool, right? But when you understand when you understand workforce expectation, what they want, and then it's not just like respond to their needs in a typical way, but just come up with a way that will address their need. And when you can address that needs in terms of HR, you have it, you can keep the employee with you. All right. So that's the changes or something that maybe make make what we have been doing can change day by day. Next, talking about human resource as a company performance, because as I mentioned, that organization will drive performance not only from that technology, because if you have technology, everybody can get that technology, but it's that people. Just like, are you familiar with Southwest Airlines? It's an American company, and actually it's pretty much small airline company, but for some reason it has been doing very well. Even other airlines have problems. Just last night, I heard news about Malaysian Airlines. That's that the Prime Minister have to make like decision what Malaysia will do with that airlines. Consider that this is like national airline, because in terms of operation, financial performance, very bad. They're in very bad condition. But it's not just Malaysian airline that in big trouble. There are other airlines, including Thai Airways too. But other airlines also doing very well, including Southwest Airlines. And the reason that Southwest Airlines doing very well is because Southwest Airlines can create competitive advantage through their people. For example, when they hire the best, and they also have culture that they call fun at work. I remember that I listened to interview that they interview the employees. The employees say that when they go to bed, they can't wait to wake up early in the morning to go to work, because they have a culture that they call fun at work. It's have so much fun, when they work in Southwest Airlines. To show you the evidence, this is how they work in Southwest Airlines. I have this clip. Because of that corporate culture, organizational culture that they call it fun at work.
Welcome aboard Southwest Airlines Flight 372, service to Oklahoma City. Those of you that have flown us before know that we do things a little bit differently here on Southwest. Some of us tell jokes, some of us sing, some of us just stand there and look beautiful. I, unfortunately, can do none of those. So here's the one thing that I do know how to do. We're going to shake things up a little bit. I need a little audience participation. Otherwise, this is not going to go over well at all. So, here's what I need, especially you guys in the front, because you know what's coming. All right, I need a beat, all right? All I need you to do is stomp and clap, and I'm going to do the rest, because I've had 5 flights today, and I just cannot do the regular boring announcement again, otherwise I'm going to put myself to sleep. So, you guys with me? All right, so give me a stomp, clap, come on, stomp, clap, stomp, clap, stay on beat there. There you go, keep that going. This is Flight 372 on SWA. The flight attendants on board serving you today. Teresa in the middle, David in the back. My name is David and I'm here to tell you that. Shortly after takeoff, first things first, there's soft drinks and coffee to quench your thirst. But if you want another kind of drink, then just holler. Alcoholic beverages will be $4. If a Monster energy drink is your plan, that'll be $3 and you get the whole can. We won't take your cash, you gotta pay with plastic. If you have a coupon, then that's fantastic. We know you're ready to get to new places. Open up the bin, put away your suitcases. Carry on items, go under the seat. In front of you, so none of you have things by your feet. If you have a seat on the road with the exit, we're gonna talk to you, so you might as well expect it. You gotta help evacuate in case we need you. If you don't wanna live, we're gonna reseat you. Before we leave, our advice is put away your electronic devices. Fasten your seatbelt, then put your trays up. Press the button to make the seat back raise up. Sit back, relax, have a good time. It's almost time to go, so I'm done with the ride. Thank you for the fact that I wasn't ignored. This is Southwest Airlines. Welcome aboard. Thank you very much for my beat. I appreciate that. You will not get that on United Airlines, I guarantee you.
And this is came from the organizational culture that they have Fineberg. And this is product that creates their employees to be a source of an advantage. Just like we talk about that. Alright, and next we also HR help organization to create a high performance growth system that's together with technology and everything. So for example, as you can see that when you operate under environment that have global challenge, sustainability challenge, and also technology challenge. To deal with that, HR strategy have to match to business strategy. Therefore, no matter what you do in HR function, you have to look at organizational strategy to support organizational strategy, share knowledge in organization, perform by team. Work is performed by team, it's not just by individual. And by the way, this is one of the skills the organization looking for. It's not just because you're good and you just like, super good, superhero just by yourself, but you have to be good with, working with other people. Pay system, reward performance or accomplishment or skills that we have, which is different from the past that pay probably have something to do with seniority. But it's no. Now it's not about how old you are, but how much you can contribute to organization. Selection system is self-selection, and you have to comply with the legal. And by the way, selection system is more and more using AI. That you have to interview with AI. We should talk about that later. Flexibility, engagement is more later. But talking about number of level of engagement is get lower and lower. Recently, it just turned out to be like level of engagement is just like 21%, which is quite low around the world, especially in the US and in Europe. Continuous improvement, continuous learning environment is created. This one system is progressive. Customer satisfaction and quality are evaluated in the performance management system. Technology is used to reduce the time for administrative tasks and to improve HR efficiency. All right, so this is what we have to do. For HR system, it can help organization to handle risk. Strategic risk that risk from strategy if we cannot do something that we plan in our strategy. Organizational risk, operational risk that we cannot work that can avoid risk. Financial risk, compliance risk, that's require HR help to do with that risk. All right, but in terms of HR, as I mentioned that HR is function of the business. In the past, this is not a function that cannot contribute a lot. Role of HR just like the first role, administrative service and transaction, because you have to keep record about employees. You pay and then you keep record of how much you pay employees, who you pay. That is just just the role of HR in the past. But nowadays, HR has a lot of business partner services and also with strategic partner. Meaning that for organization strategy, organization cannot achieve what they want to achieve without support from the HR function, which is the who are capable human resource in the organization. All right. So next, we'll talk about HR function. These are our HR function. And later, starting from next week, we'll start with that HR function. For example, next week we talk about HR planning and analyzing work. That's the first HR function. HR planning, recruitment, selection, except only one HR function that we cannot cover due to time limitation is employee relations. Other than that, we try to cover everything. Employee relation meaning that we try to create the relationship between management and employees. If we not try to do that, those two parties will view themselves just like an opposite party because management probably would like to pay less, would like to use labor as much as we can exploit labor. But for labor, maybe labor would like to ask for more and more and more. I want more paycheck, I want more bonus. But if those two parties have that way of looking, the way that they're working together, it will not be healthy for everyone. Because in the end of the day, organization cannot work without employees, and employees require organization as an employer. Therefore, better have like good mindset that we have to live with each other with mutual interest. It's not just like zero sum game. That's about employees relation. All right. So about that function, let's talk about that function in detail, just a little bit. So you have an idea of what you're gonna expect next. In job analysis, we analyze job, getting to know job in detail. And when we get to know job in detail, we understand type of job and also people that we're gonna require to perform the job. That this is the outcome that in job analysis. And in HR, we also try to do job design, come up with the work process type of task that we will help people to do. Hopefully that from tasks that they can increase motivation or efficiency in the workplace. And also recruitment and selection. These two different, and this is something that most people got mixed up between recruitment and selection. When we talk about recruitment, it means that we try to attract people as many as we can, so we can, in selection we can pick I would not say the best one. When we in selection, it's better that we pick the right one. But the question is, what does it mean to be the right one, the right person? It's just like knowledge. Most of the time, we don't just pick the one that is the best, but it's just the right one. So actually, it was pretty much the same. In marriage to in recruitment, you try to date a lot of people. If you date just a few, you have limited choice, and you don't want that. So you have to go out on the desk, get to know people, and then you find out what you actually something that you really like. So that's that recruitment, attract people, seek applicants, and select, come up with selection to help you to make decision. We're going to be with the organization, but this is by the way, qualification that's employer looking for, problem solving skills, teamwork skills, written communication skills, things like that. But I'm not sure that is really that important. I mean, it's important, but I'm not sure that organization really pay attention on written skills, communication skills, leadership skills, yeah, of course, and also strong work ethics. That's now today. That's we're looking for. And next, training and development. This is also HR function. Training means help employees to perform back labor, enable employees to learn job related skill, knowledge, and behavior. Development, prepare them to take on more responsibility. Therefore, when we talk about development, most of the time this is in form of leadership development program. It's not skill or knowledge that employees can use right now. but they can use in the future. That is development. All right, and performance management. In the past, in HR, this function is called performance evaluation or performance appraisal, but that was too narrow. So now today, in year 2019, we will not call this function as performance evaluation anymore, or performance appraisal. We call it as performance management because we would like to see performance from the beginning to the end. Because if we just look at performance evaluation, it means that it's already happened and then you evaluate. But performance management, from the beginning that you have to set up expectation, maybe KPI or goal that you provide direction for employees, and then you check progress from time to time. And together in performance management is coaching system. Therefore, we talk about the coaching in performance management, coaching and mentoring, which is very important, essential nowadays that managers should do to enhance performance in the organization, and yes, of course, with evaluation in this part in performance management. And last but not something else, planning, pay and benefits. How much we should pay. We don't want to pay much higher than other, because if we pay much higher than other, it means that it costs us too high. But if we pay less than other, we have a chance that we will lose good people to competitors. So this is something that we have to make a serious decision how much we should pay. We should pay fixed or variable. Fixed means like paycheck each month, or we should pay variable depending on performance. So this is come up with combination between fixed and variable pay to get the right amount for employees. And this can be like issue that we have to think about it clearly. For example, some organization they think that actually especially for sales, they should not go higher with percentage of the fixed part of compensation. Should go with variable, right, in the commission. But when they go that, what happened? It's just like motivation, reinforcement theory. When employees that have to rely on commission, they would like to sell, right? Sell and sell and sell. But the thing is, they just try to close sale, and later in that company, that is food company, customer return the product. So when customer return the product, it means that chances are the product is already spoiled. So it's not about just like have high percentage of variable gonna be better than fixed. But again, if you stick with just the fixed part of compensation, it's not good, because for fixed part of compensation, for example, a paycheck, you cannot decrease paycheck, and it has to go higher every year, at least with inflation rate. So it means that you have to pay more and more and more. Therefore, this is something that you have to think clearly how much or percentage proportion between fixed and variable that you should pay. Or other way to pay for performance and other things. And what type of benefits that you should provide to employees. That's gonna be maybe this is the part that's you will learn from our guest lecturer in details. Okay, so also labor relations, try to maintain positive team relations in the workplace. Deal with responding to communication with employees. Most of the time, employees will form a union to become like bargaining, collective bargaining power in the organization. That's HR function that we talk about that in details. And last but not the least is what we call workforce analytics. Let me explain about workforce analytics. Since to me, I think this is a trend. I'm talking about workforce analytics since year 2018. On my radio show that I forecast that it's gonna be a trend, and it's become trend. That's data is used a lot in HR. But actually, data has been using a lot in other fields, especially in marketing. For example, like in CRM, right? You know, in CRM, you try to collect data about your customer and analyze that data, come up with like a algorithm to understand your customer pattern, the behavior pattern, and then you can offer promotion that's fit with that each customer, something like that. Or maybe recently I just saw some of my friends post something up on my Facebook, and he find that it's very funny that how come on his Facebook there's an ad talking about it, that ad is trying to sell Viagra. And then they say, oh, this is funny that how come, I have an ad that's selling Viagra. Actually, to me, it shows that this is the information that he's looking for. Most of the time in Facebook, there's AI. And in AI, they have algorithm. Do you know that they monitor what you post, your content, what you comment, what page that you like, something like that, and it becomes information about you. And Facebook that use information and come up with something that try to sell stuff to you. So that talking about data that has been used. But nowadays it's not just data that is used in marketing, but also used in HR. For example, I'm just talking. I told you about Google. Like Google, they study about relationship between interviewing score and performance. And when they find that no relationship is mean that recruitment that interviewing is not effective. Therefore, they change way to interview employees. That's data analytics. And data analytics also use they try to explore when did people leave organization, meaning that what caused people leave organization. What are main reasons that make people leave organization? Before I tell you why people leave organization, which organization? What do you think? What make people leave organization?
Voices.
Very good. Because people say people join organization but leave their boss. And this is what we have often heard that, well, I want to work for this organization, when they apply for a job, but just maybe for a while, you work with certain supervisor and, I cannot, I don't want to work with that supervisor. Yes, one is the boss, and what can be other reason?
Wages, income.
Yes, other offer higher money. Okay, that's another reason is because advancement. Okay, so this is three main reasons why people leave organization. But data analytics also explore other things, and they find that chances are people leave organization when they hit 30 and 40. Meaning that when they turn from 20 something to 30, and from 30, 39 to 40, it's just like milestone that, oh, wait a minute, what about my life? Should I do something different? When I turn from 20 to 30, or from 30 to 40. That's that is from data analytics that people change work just because they hit certain age. And data analytics also reveal that people tend to quit the job after they attend homecoming party. They got to meet their friends in the university and talk to those friends and see my friends have advancement. They did very well, so I should try to have something different. So that's also from data analytics. And I don't know, is it happening in your organization or not? But they also monitor that if employee visiting LinkedIn, if employee go to LinkedIn, it's gonna have a trigger to supervisor that you should closely monitor your subordinate because those person visiting LinkedIn for several times. And this is also, somebody watching you all the time nowadays. Probably you don't know, but yes, because information technology. So you thought that you have privacy, but you don't have that much privacy that you have because of technology. Okay, so that's a job that we have to do with the law that has to comply with the law. And this is one thing that I don't know how to manage. To talk about Thai HR law, which is I think it's quite important too when we do HR stuff. But anyway, probably we don't have that time to cover. But there's something quite unique that we have to know. For example, like overtime pay that we have to comply with the law. How we can legally terminate employees and so on. All right, and HR have to support strategy when we plan, and this is what I mentioned earlier that we call it HR as a challenge management. It's not just anybody in the organization that we want really good people in the organization. Therefore, we call it challenge management. Let me share idea about challenge management just a little bit before we continue with other concepts. Talent management is also one of HR work, HR techniques. But what does it mean by talent management? Talent management different from regular human resource management in the way that organizations try to make sure that they have talents in the organization. So in practice, there are two ways that organizations do talent management. One way is that for recruiting talent, very good people in the organization. For example, just like SCG, in their talent management program, they go like to top 10 university in the world, not in Thailand now, in the world. They just they go to like people who maybe like if they think that Harvard is one of the best, they go to Harvard and try to recruit people from Harvard, and most of the time have to be Thai because it's easier to get Thai who went to Harvard and work for SCG, something like that. This is to get the best working for organization that talent, and after that they try to have special program for that type of people. For example, they have like special training, job assignment, and including compensation for that group of employees. That some organizations, the way that they do talent management. But for some organizations, they don't want to do that. They try to something like select existing employee to be their talent, and they refer as like high potential employees, and they call that high employee and put that in fast track in the organization. Okay. Some organization I help them as a consultant to select people, not people, but their existing employees to be their special group. They have a different processes depending on organization policy. So they believe that if they do that, it's like software that's to show that they value that every employees. Yes, organization do that. But what I want to add is that except Google is not using talent management. Even though lots of leading Thai organizations believe in talent management, but Google is not doing talent management. Can you guess why? Google is not using talent management. They're not doing this program. Can you? Yeah. Yes. Yes, but maybe based on the best, right? Can be, but this is a good point, because when you categorize people, this is talent, this is Medicare, like so average employees, it can affect morale of employees. If you think that if you feel like you are not an important person in the organization, so okay, I'm just not really important, I don't want, therefore organization is not important to me. Because in all relationship, it's two-way street. If you treat employees just like they're superstar, they're important to you, they're gonna think the organization is important to them. On contrary, if organization don't show that, people have no reason that they will think that they have to value organization. And this is part of the reason because everyone have to be very important in Google. And another reason they find is because they find that what they did that, they have talent management. And it turned out that people who were talent 3 years ago likely are not talent now because everything changed. It doesn't mean that what makes people good in the past will make them good in the present and in the future. Therefore, they believe that is pointless, effortless, it's pointless to do talent management in Google. This is I share this because maybe your organization have this policy, but this is the way that we can do the way that we can look at Google. We can look at talent management. All right. Evidence-based HR meaning that we collect data support. It's not just what I think this, but we have something to support. All right. So from what I'm just explained, what is the answer? Da is the HR function that is primarily concerned with ensuring employees are capable of doing their current jobs. Why? Da is the HR function that ensures employees are notified with their rewards. And the answer is, I heard someone say something, but you have to be louder. Yes, very good. B. Training is the HR function. This means that you pay attention. That's very good. And pay benefit is the HR function that ensures employees are notified with their rewards. Alright, let me continue just a little bit before we take a break and we move to computer lab. This is responsibility of HR function. That's the organization to develop strategy. Then is this, when organization come up with strategies, so just like just previous slide, that is important that we have to execute, and then execute is to people related. And this is about about HR function, managing change. That's when organization will change direction, change the way that they practice. It's gonna involve HR function or sustainability. What does it mean by sustainability? It means that we grow and survive in the long term. It's not just a short term. And most of the time we sustain if we pay attention to our stakeholder. And this is challenge for sustainability involvement, HR activity that we have to drive return to shareholders, provide good quality service to employees, provide quality service to supporting customer, also good experience for employees, increase value placed in intangible assets, adapt to changing characteristics and expectation of the labor force, address legal and ethical issue, effective new work arrangement. That's for sustainability challenge. And this is for global challenge. If you recall that this is part of pressure or driver that affect HR, that we not just operate just within one country, but in global. So we have different people work from different culture working together. When we expand our business, we have to understand local labor laws. That and also issue about capable manager and workers who can work in international assignment, develop foreign culture and work practices training program, and also adjust compensation plan to oversee work. That's a global issue. And also this is also demographic issue that we have for aging workforce. We have less workforce, but we have more aging workforce. How we do with that? Maybe we have to expand retirement age. More educated workforce. How are we gonna deal with that, or take advantage from that? Managing diversity in the workplace. That's concern challenge. And also last, before we take a break, talking about new technology that affect the way that we work. We have what we call knowledge worker. In the past, we have like blue versus white collar. Blue collar mean that labor, white collar, working in the office. But nowadays, we're really about white versus blue collar worker, but it's knowledge worker. Which is we're talking about knowledge workers whose responsibility extend beyond the physical execution of work to include planning, decision making, and problem solving. I believe that we all are knowledge worker, even though we just feel so tired. Really? We just only knowledge. I thought that we live for incentive. No. Even though you have to work hard, but actually what you require to do is that a lot of thinking, problem solving, decision making. So we what we can help is knowledge based training. Apply technology in training, e-learning, just-in-time learning via the internet, like it or not. That's virtual learning that's happened. And influence directly in HR is what we call HRIS, meaning that we apply technology in HR function. In the past, it involves just like paperwork, in the filing system. But now it's in, computer system, like program, software. But even now today, it's like on fingertips application that maybe some organization application for employee to work on work time sheet just by using application. Checking at work with application in the organization. That's, or maybe like wearable device that can connect work with the company. That is, influence of HR with technology that we have adapted. So we have what we call like self-service. Maybe in the past it's just HR that do the work, for example, with like check how many holidays that employee have left. But nowadays it's self-service that employee can check by themselves how much holiday that they have left in this year, something like that. Or online recruiting, screening, training, tracking, and selecting employees based on record of skills and ability. Something like this that we apply information technology in HR function, and it's become way of life. And this is, by the way, when talking about using automation, what function that have been used the most, as you can see, learning, right? Because from e-learning, and this has become a trend. And we have like online, open online massive course. We call it MOOC, massive online open course. That's have like online course that anybody can take that course. Sometimes we just like in July we have that, and sometimes we have to pay. So it depends, but this is also a way of it's happening. I personally don't really like e-learning, but I know this is a trend that we have to deal with that. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but most of the time I often heard employees complain that okay, it's online, but actually I don't have time to go to online to do learning anyway. So rather spend time to learn training. Recruitment, yes, e-recruitment, and nowadays more selection that we use online selection, compensation, performance, and succession planning. All right. So that's pretty much, we already talked about data analytics. So therefore, this is just last. This is something that we use as a factor when we consider to use IT in HR. Most of the time, it's like how much resource that we have, time for implement that program, people that we have, how much work that we require to do. We justify, if we invest with IT. When we use HR package, the cost doesn't come from license. but it comes from implementation that is cost very high. Therefore, have to think about that, you know, if you justify cost that you're going to invest in HRIS. All right, so that's for now. All right, we continue the list, but we continue the list in the computer lab. Therefore, we take a break. And after the break, please go to computer lab that is located in building 9, next to me building 3rd floor. R is the line, so let's talk there.